This is Steve from LZ23 Strength, where we exert ourselves, elevate our health, and evolve in mind and body. Excuse me. We're going to be talking today about endoscopic spine or back surgery, and that's my personal experience. And I just wanted to share this information with you because I suffered for several years and at times pretty severely from it. I know a lot of people are dealing with sciatic pain of one sort or another, and I've also known quite a few people who have had different types of back surgery that didn't really solve their issues completely or maybe led to other issues. So I just wanted to kind of give you my journey and maybe some encouragement and hope that there's things that can be done, because I'm a few weeks out from when I had the procedure and I feel really good. It's life changing. So, anyways, how I got here a few years ago, probably about 4 to 5 years ago, I started to get sciatic pain and thought I could work through it. On my channel, I talk about how I've been basically working out since I was between 10 and 12 years old. Started working out pretty seriously in my entire life, and you get injuries along the way when you lift weights, and I've always worked through them. Whatever it is, they weren't serious, but they would cause some pain along the way, but always seem to be able to work through them and eventually move on. And I'm going to pause here for a moment just to remind everybody I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. It's just kind of telling you my own experience. And again, hopefully giving some hope if you're dealing with some severe pain that you need attention given to it. So anyways, I would always work through it, but this sciatic, there was nothing. I tried different exercises. You would look up things on the internet and YouTube and try different things, but nothing really worked. And somebody said, why don't you go to a chiropractor? And again, if you've been listening to my channel, you know I have my own quirks and issues when it comes to different things, and chiropractors was one of them. I didn't, even though everybody's been to them and swears by them, I didn't like the whole concept or idea, so I had never been my entire life. But it got to that point where I was in such pain that I had to do something, so I did go to a chiropractor, and there was actually two gentlemen that worked there, and ironically, insurance didn't cover any of it, so I kind of went through some of my HSA, depleting that, and paid a lot of out-of-pocket expenses for about 3 months, going regularly between the two gentlemen there, and they tried all sorts of equipment and techniques and different things. I mean, none of them worked. But eventually, after maybe a little time after that, it kind of worked itself out and went away for a little while. Probably 6 months to a year later, it came back pretty heavy. And at this point, not only chiropractors, but I really had taken medicines of any kind. Not that I'm totally against it, but I tried not to do anything like even Tylenol, ibuprofen, all that stuff. But I started to live on that stuff to deal with the pain, icy hot and Hemvana cream and all sorts of stuff, you name it. But ibuprofen and Tylenol were the big ones. And ironically, even though I didn't want to use those things, I had no idea until now I was getting into the health aspect and doing a lot of research that both of those, one's not good for your kidneys, one's not good for your liver. So again, I didn't want to do this long term, but that's kind of how I was living on it. So I tried to do a lot of research to see what I could do. And at this point, I was in my mid 50s, somewhere in my 50s, as this was going on. And I just kind of reflected on a lifetime of heavy lifting from work. Work was very physical and a lot of lifting. 30 plus years doing that. 40 plus years of weightlifting and bodybuilding. And I lived in a very snowy area where I always thought it was a badge of honor of shoveling. While other sane people were snow blowing, I was shoveling, and even to this day, to a fault, there were times where I shouldn't be shoveling and I'd be shoveling. But I think you pile that all together, and I thought all this hard work was tough and a badge of honor, but probably was quietly destroying my body. So that's how I ended up with the severe sciatic pain, I believe. Maybe a few little minor injuries that contributed. But so I looked into something else that I discovered online: spinal decompression. Surprise, surprise, insurance didn't cover that. So I totally depleted my HSA and then some financially to take care of that. The people were super nice. They genuinely tried to help me, but it really wasn't doing a lot. But along the way, in that, they helped me get on for an MRI. Again, none of this was covered by insurance, so their help was crucial in getting the MRI. And it turned out that I had L4 and L5, pretty severe disc herniation. So we tried a couple epidurals shots, and the first couple didn't really do anything. The third one, probably a month later or so, finally did the trick. And for about a year and a half, I was totally fine, still shoveling, still crushing it at the gym. I like to use that expression. And my job still very physical, and I was in my mid to late 50s, so I felt like, all right, we moved on. And then December of 2025, all of a sudden it came back with a vengeance, and the pain from my buttocks all the way down to my ankle, shin, and foot, all the way down my leg. It was at a new level where I couldn't even sleep in bed. I was confined to a recliner. That's how I slept. Even we went away on vacation, which I would have canceled the vacation if we could have, but still was a beautiful vacation. I had to sleep. My wife had the whole king size bed to herself, and I had to sleep on the couch with pillows all propped up as I was sitting up. That was the only way I could go to sleep. So this was severe. Where walking, when I first started walking, the first minute would be okay, and then it would go downhill from there, and then I'd be in severe pain. We would take my mom shopping, and I'd be hanging on to a shopping cart for dear life because the pain, and because of previous heart issues, there was not much. I couldn't take the ibuprofen, and Tylenol really didn't do much for me. So at this point, we were again pretty hopeless. Talked about surgeries, but anyone who I ever known who's had surgery, I really didn't want metal parts all in my body, all kinds of bolts and things. And individuals I've known, a handful, anyways, it wasn't like they lived happily ever after they got surgery. There was always some kind of complications or future surgeries needed. So that was literally going to be my last ditch effort, and I was trying to avoid that at all costs. And my wife stumbled onto an Instagram post of some folks in New York City, and they did endoscopic spine surgery, and they encourage that if you needed it, any kind of back surgery, to at least explore if it could be done through endoscopic procedure instead of a major cutting you open and putting all kinds of metal bolts and plates and things like that into your body. So that instantly gave me some hope, and obviously that day and moving forward started researching if I could be a candidate for that, if there were some doctors locally and that would do that. And interestingly enough, first one that I looked up found one locally, didn't accept my insurance. I should have known that. But looked a little closer, and there was a doctor farther away. Actually, it was over an hour and a half away, that did it. And shockingly, there wasn't many locally at all, aside from these two that I could find. But the second one, I'm glad that I chose him. His name's Dr. Kukrasha in Dunkirk, New York. So if you're anywhere within an hour or 2 hours away from that circumference from that area, I would highly recommend him. Everything he did was very professional. His staff was great. The people in his office, everyone was super helpful with all the tests needed, appointments, and the procedure itself. He's done a bunch of them, and I would highly recommend looking him up if you're in this area near Dunkirk, New York. But I was prepared if I couldn't find anybody that would do this. I was prepared to try New York City, and obviously that would be a major ordeal to have to go there and do everything, because there's some hoops you got to jump through. There's tests. We needed an updated MRI and other things, paperwork, your doctors, your my cardiologist, all kinds of people had to kind of be involved to get it done. But once we got it done, it was definitely a lot easier than I thought. Um, in and out in one day. And literally that day after I had it done, they still wheel you to the door at the hospital. But I got out of the wheelchair, walked to the car with no pain, went home that night and slept in my own bed. Finally, after almost 5 months, was able to sleep in my own bed. My lifting for the last 5 months has been very sporadic and light, to say the least, because of the pain. But now I'm starting to get back into it again, and I'm got the green light, a checkup again with Dr. Kukrasia, where in a few weeks I can get back to my normal lifting, and I'm going to slowly do it. I've been doing it so long that I know my body and know what I can and can't do. So I'll slowly work my way back into it. And remember, Viking bodybuilder, so I'm never going to give that aspect up. Still going to talk about that in future episodes, but that's why I just wanted to give you my journey, the endoscopic back surgery. Again, I'm not a doctor, but this is how I understand it. They make a little hole in your back about the size of a pencil or a pen. And they go in with a little camera, little instruments. And I was able to work on my L4 and L5, shave a little bit off and some chips and things, and be able to move the nerve that was severely getting pushed by these discs, and that was affecting the pain on the side of my body. And I guess this procedure can be done anywhere on the spine, to my knowledge, even the neck. So if you're having pain, you might not have to live that way. At least explore it. Try to find somebody who's good. Again, my doctor is phenomenal, Dr. Kukrasia in Dunkirk, New York. I would highly recommend him, but I would consider New York City. I know California, a lot of things popped up when I was doing research. A lot of things in California popped up, so I'm sure you can find them. But before you get plates and bolts put into your body, major surgery, at least explore this if this is a possibility that I could help you. Hopefully this has given you some hope, and I'll keep you updated as things are going, how I'm doing. But for now, it's life-changing, and I feel great. So I'm going to continue to exert myself, try to elevate my health and evolve in mind and body. I hope you do the same. Please smash the like button. Please subscribe, and we'll look forward to talking to you again.